Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the Lecture Theatre. So we're going to be spending a couple of hours in here now, hearing some very interesting presentations. First going to be joined by Chris Wood from the University of Warwick, our host university for the 2026 conference. We'll then be joined by Jake and Lewis from some other university.
Some low-profile place.
Yeah, low profile, never heard of.
That's true, actually.
And then at the end of that, we're all going to come together and we'll do a joint Q&A at the very end. So save up your questions, and we'll have those at the very end of the session. So, Chris, over to you first.
Thank you very much. Hey, love it. I really enjoyed the amount of energy in the room there, and I was just thinking, well, I'm going to absolutely drain that rapidly with a nice, dry PowerPoint deck. You guys are going to really tuck into it. I was also going to make a terrible joke and just go, afternoon scones, but I thought that was a terrible idea, and I shouldn't do that. After yesterday, it didn't feel appropriate, so good thing I didn't do that shit joke. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. So I'm Chris Wood. I've got a long, kind of slightly made-up title. It's Head of Portfolio for End User Products. And what essentially that means is I've got a number of technical products that report into me, and we deliver services to our customers. The end user services product is where the AV guys live. We have a couple of colleagues in the room today. They're here to fact check the shit out of me. I'm quoting them on that. Sadly, my technical competence is not what it once was. I am a pencil pushing manager these days. So it will be entertaining to see how they rinse me out. But anyway, apologies for the truly awful title to this, but that's as sharp as I can get in terms of wit. It's referencing how the RAG report changed everything. So essentially, that is our methodology to modernizing our infrastructure across the campus. You'll be unsurprised to hear that it's red, amber, and green, and it's on a 3-year cycle. And that has essentially, whilst it's simple, and I'm sure every single person in this room is familiar with it, it is something that's revolutionized everything we do and put an enormous amount of discipline and momentum into our ability to build facilities that our customers actually want and need. So, I've obviously stolen Chris Twine's PowerPoint deck after yesterday. That's our Faculty of Arts building. And I will now speak to the biggest challenge of my career and probably the AV Services career. So I'd been in post literally from the 1st of January, and then the pandemic struck us in March. So I think I just got my feet under the table, and then things got a bit fruity. Just in terms of who we are, so we're the central AV Services team. There are other departments across campus, WBS and WMG. My WS colleague, Dean Statham, is over there. So we tend to operate with the centrally timetabled teaching rooms and the centrally managed meeting rooms, but obviously support colleagues within faculties, colleagues within engineering science departments. Any other department that requires our help, we will do that, albeit we will class them as locally timetabled rooms. The events facilities in here, we advise and guide, and we support, and we provide escalation paths using our technical expertise. But essentially, we're the central guys. We're the guys that have a dedicated telephone number, a dedicated route to us, and we're the guys that report into the Information and Digital Group. I'm the head of portfolio, the made-up title that I spoke of before, and we have a product manager who reports into me. We have the AV manager who's just had a new baby, which is marvelous news, and that's why he couldn't join us today. We have an AV specialist who's on holiday and didn't fancy coming today. We have, which is fair enough. I find his lack of faith and loyalty incredibly disappointing. Things will occur to his career. We have two of our fantastic AV support technicians in the room today. That's Chris and Phil. Hey, guys. And we also have two flexible shared AV technicians who are presumably being flexible and not here for some reason. So what sort of house are we? I forgot a load of other vendors, so if there's any other vendors in the room, sincere apologies. I have since updated this slide deck. I do tend to update a slide deck at least 3 minutes before I'm supposed to present, so I like to keep it nimble. But I'm sure there's a number of brands you recognize here. It won't come as any surprise. We've built upon the existing brands that we had when I joined. And we've expanded and refined, and we continue to evolve, and that comes to the theme of the RAG, essentially. It's continual evolving, continual refinement. But I'm not going to read that out. I think you can probably figure that one out. So, to be clear, I'm going to take us back in our DeLorean, go back to 2020, and I'm going to speak to where we were. So we had circa 100 CTTRs, essentially timetable teaching rooms, that were in a bit of a state in terms of inconsistency of room standard, inconsistency of technology, hardware going end of life, inability to remotely support the assets, stressful for our guys in the department, and we needed to respond. So we also had 35 meeting rooms that were of a similar state, no consistent investment. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. If there's a new building coming in, you get a shiny new pile of kit. That pile of kit lasts you 5 years, 7 years, there's no more money to come, and then you're wondering what are you going to do, how are you going to modernize that facility? You need to grovel to the senior higher-ups. So that was true of us. Inconsistent age tech stack. I've spoken to the support burden. We couldn't monitor it remotely. And most critically for us at that point, there was no hybrid or lack of true hybrid capability. Video conferencing was, you had telephone conferencing, we had Starleaf, we had, what else did we have? We had predecessor to Teams. Blackboard Collaborate, exactly. And we also had, everyone remind me, the Microsoft one that we've... Skype, thank you so much. Oh, Skype for Business. Warwick branded mugs for all who helped me out through this conference. And indeed, lecture capture wasn't a standard provision at the time. You know, it was in some of our areas, but it wasn't in all. So yeah, I've spoken to that already. Essentially, we were struggling with consistency, we were struggling with the age of the facility, we were struggling with capability. And there was a requirement coming in from our academics and our community to be able to create high-quality asynchronous content. Indeed, synchronous content in a safe environment, obviously. Your lecture theatre becomes the fanciest laptop you've ever had if you're working from home. Well, we can make a lecture theatre the same, but obviously with incredible audio, incredible video, and streaming capability. And we needed to use our spaces for Teams and Teams live events, curated Teams live events. So again, further to our challenges, we didn't have stickers on the lecterns, or if we did, they were inconsistent. We didn't have updated posters or user guides and support content. Web content was inconsistent. It wasn't so much of a self-service approach at the time. I've called it the you call, we dash. So I think the lads were incredibly fit, sharp, agile, handsome, good-looking, great hair. And obviously they still are today. I tell you what, as I've got more and more senior, I've got fatter and fatter. I'm not sure if there's a correlation to that. But the key point I'm making is we had high staff content. Oh no, you actually do have a better. You know what I'd love, David? You know what I'd love, David, if you actually said, actually, Chris, it's only a 2.5-minute presentation, mate. Thanks a lot, take care. Sorry, I'm bleeding into Oxford's time, apologies. Go for it. I can really pad this out. Anyway, let's keep plowing on. So it wasn't self-service led. It was you dial, we dash. I'm changing it as we go. And we had, unfortunately, as many other HEs, suffered significantly from voluntary redundancy, cash saving challenges. Now, obviously, I'm compressing it for the purposes of telling a good story, but essentially we went from 12 members of AV staff, not all technical, but related or core AV staff. We went from 12 to 6 over that time period, which was incredibly challenging and emotional and draining on our support capabilities and capacities. So, what would we do about that? Well, clearly the web content wasn't consistent, as I've spoken about training materials, video content, and we lacked extensive user guides. If you do get the opportunity to check out some of Phil's fantastic video guides, he's absolutely superb. He does some beautiful, beautiful voiceover work. He's available for commercial hire. So what did the leadership do? To be honest, they were, and they are probably listening, they supported us, actually. We made a case, we built a paper, I love it when people call, we made a paper. What do you mean? We made 2 pages of really sensible stuff and we put a price on the end of it. That's literally all we did. And we gave it to some senior guys who were like, shit, we're desperate. We really need to do something about this. And they were incredibly supportive about it. And essentially what that led to was initially a 3-year program of investment, known as the RAG program, as it's later been referred to, which is now extended to 4 years, and hopefully it extends forever, frankly, and we constantly cycle it. And what that did was generate record investment. The institution as a whole took responsibility, rather than it just being, that's an AV problem, that's an IT problem. The institution realized that without great AV, without great lecture capabilities, lecture capture, lecture provision capabilities, events capabilities like we're in today, frankly, it's not really much of a university, actually. We're here to teach predominantly and research. And our staff, our students, our visitors, our alumni, everyone has a touch point within AV. So if the AV technology is substandard, then everyone's first, second, 100th impression of the institution is very, very weak. That's always been my view. That's why I've always adored my job, because every single time you modernize a room, it's tangible. It means something, and that will give 5 to 7 years more quality experience for our customers. I'm getting off topic a bit, but that's why I love this community so much. Anyway, so the point was that the estate was seen as a risk to service, and its overall health and state needs to shape our AV delivery. So the model is now, as I say, repeatable, cyclical, and frankly, never-ending, much like my PowerPoints. These are the core figures, essentially. The first one was tactical. So that was essentially consolidate every budget you can find. Grab all the funding that's available across IDG, across AV, put it into what we needed. So that would be convert our existing facilities, make them hybrid capable, make them able to do Teams, give us an audio and video feed via USB. And that's what we did. And quite frankly, that involved AV staff working evenings, working weekends, hair thinning, tummies growing larger. Obviously not those guys predominantly, any works that I've been doing. But you get the idea. They poured the time in, they poured the effort in, and they did it on a shoestring, quite frankly. And it gave us highly capable rooms with Teams audio and Teams video. And obviously we could reuse our lecture capture cameras, if I'm not mistaken, gentlemen, to do that as well. So that built on our initial challenge as a tactical upgrade. And then we got the big checks out. So 1.6 million, 1.5, 1.36, and 1.2. All cycled against what's the highest priority, what's the worst rooms. And some of that's arbitrary, perhaps, but I do trust my guys to tell me what generates the greatest tickets, what causes the most inconsistent user experience, what gives the worst quality audio and visual experience. So that's what we did, worst to best, and it improved the consistency of the experience for every single customer, every single colleague that we have in the institution. Now, that means we're using RAG as a governance tool, so that means it's a common language that everyone in the institution understands. It's a common language I hope that all of you guys understand. I'll be interested to know if anyone else has got this idea, got this scope, got this methodology. We will maybe do that as part of the Q&A at the end. Most critical thing for me as well is you have to work hand in hand with university leadership. You have to work hand in hand with your estates colleagues, your space management colleagues, your timetabling, finance, and for the love of God, please work with procurement, otherwise you're dead. You're dead in the water, especially in the HE world. The guys are giggling, I'm sure, and I'm sure you've all had shared challenges. But in this instance, the support we had from every one of those departments, when you come together, when university bureaucracy can be wiped away because you need to get stuff done, it can be done. So this model allows us to work together. It allows us to prioritize. It's influenced by the state of the equipment. It's influenced by the feedback from our customers, the feedback from our AV colleagues telling us this is a room that's having problems consistently. This is a room that's not recording lecture capture appropriately. You get the idea. And also, a critical point, AV standards don't stand still, as devastating as that is for all my various OCDs. The red rag that occurred in 2022 does not bear any, it's evolved and changed so much that it's not the same standard. So it's the fourth bridge, isn't it? As soon as you've done one set of red, you get to the next batch of red, everything's changed and you're going to have to go again. But you know what? My view has always been, and hopefully the guys can echo this, is we're taking the standards up. We're drawing them all up. We're taking them on a journey. They're far better than they were before. And the experience for our customers is far better than they were before. The point I make there is sets the benchmark for locally owned spaces. I'm sure our WBS colleagues will counter that because they have some incredible experiential spaces, some incredible capabilities in that department and that building. But I'd say we work as partners in those areas. We take echoes from the quality of their facilities, and we also try and set the same benchmarks ourselves. But if you think about it, if we can make every local timetabled space have maybe 70% of a CTTR's quality or 70% of a CTTR's technology stack, supportability is better, familiarity from the customer is better, and it becomes more uniform across the entire institution. So the critical thing for me was that it empowered the AV guys. We trust you to do your jobs. You know what you're talking about. You're highly competent individuals. You just need big, fat wedges of cash and to be told to go and execute. And that's the easiest job for me in the world, frankly. That was a gift. And I like to think we've built an exceptional reputation for spending large wads of cash at pace. I want to say and call out that the AV team did so much of the programming works themselves as well. Incredible skills, incredible knowledge, and that allowed us to save cash. Let's be completely clear on that. And allowed us to drive quality, particularly the quality assurance piece, post-delivery, post-configuration. So I want to call them out on that. The money that you save with programming has allowed us to buy other things, and I'll talk to that in a little while later. So, like I say, the boys have also done enormous amounts of work on driving our web content, 360-degree images across the campus for century timetabled, teaching rooms, meeting rooms, and now we're on an initiative to do locally timetabled as well, which means that our customers can see what our kit is before they use it. There's a list of all the kit that you can click into, which then goes into detailed explanations of the kit, which then goes into Phil's iconic videos and support content after that. We're trying to be as self-service as you can. Controversially enough, what else can you do when you've gone from 12 to 6 people? And you're led by a slightly balding, slightly eccentric ginger man who isn't as technical as he should be, as opposed to John Owen, my predecessor, who's not that eccentric, he's dashingly handsome, incredibly slim, and he's far better at selling things than I will ever be. Anyway, so essentially, the guys have been delighted to adopt a more of an agile approach to our project delivery. So we use Agile, we use Jira. The spreadsheet of doom has sadly been retired. That's a great blow to myself. That was something I curated by hand over many, many months. But yeah, that gives us the ability to manage customer demand, be pretty fast in terms of assessing that requirement, getting the quotes, and then going for about 10 different stage gates in the delivery of those projects. And we take ownership of that a lot ourselves now. So that's central timetabled facilities, essentially managed meeting rooms, and locally managed as well. So we're trying to make sure that every customer can come to us and get a consistent experience, turn it around as quickly as we can. And I'll reiterate the point, that's 6 people to do that. Across the size and scale of the campus you've seen, across the breadth and depth of capabilities and facilities, doing immense work. So we reuse existing assets and we drive the circular economy. So if you've got good tin, there's no point throwing it in the bin. We'll reuse it. Now, I tend to approve of the approach of make it rain. I love a freebie. I love buying department's loyalty. Not that you can quote me on that, and I'm sure this isn't being recorded and will stream out to the world. But to be fair, if we have kit, what's it doing on the shelf? What's it doing being wasted? Let's get it out there with the customers. Let's drive the quality of their experience and drive our ability to support them. So that's something we do all the time. So what has this done? Well, Teams audio, video is now standard. Lecture capture is now standard. Starleaf, sadly, has gone to a better place. And Blackboard Collaborate is no longer a core component of the facilities that we deliver to our customers. We've now integrated the reserve room booking panels and the digital signage into our room standards. I don't know if that's always been the case for all of you guys, if you've always had that as a core component, but we just think, what's the point of building a building and you don't fit the reservers or you don't fit the one LAN, or what's the point of having a facility, you upgrade the lectern and you improve all of the facilities in this room, but then the reserver's 15 years old. It's just moronic, you know. So we're just trying to make sure that every element that's AV related is all upgraded at the same time and has a refresh cycle. In terms of technologies, well, we're looking to drive ceiling-mounted microphones, so I think that means we can finally ditch the lapel, which I don't know about other HEs. We seem to have them stolen a lot, or people wander off with them a lot. I'm not sure if we've had any comedy moments where academics have walked off into bathrooms or anything of that nature, but I'm sure there might be the odd one lying around somewhere on a lecture capture recording. In terms of how we're delivering that, well, we have a new AV supplier framework. So that's Pure and GVAV. We've just renewed that. That's a 3-year +1+1. So that's going to give us some stability for the future. Previously, we were GVAV alone. So what we're trying to do is build capacity and capability to make sure that whether it be Christmas, Easter, summer, frankly, any time of the year, that we have capacity and capability to drive modernization, to drive installations and huge programs of works, not to mention also massive new buildings that we've got coming down the line, which Professor Twine articulated yesterday around the STEM program, Social Sciences Connect, and, as I say, the STEM program. Right, boom, that's RAC done. 1 down, 2 to go. So after the pandemic and RAG, along came RAC. Seems like anything that starts with R brings terror. So this was 2023, if I'm not mistaken. We'd literally just spent a fortune, I think it was £500,000, maybe £600,000 on 10 teaching rooms being renovated and modernised. I think we're literally at the point where we're doing some quality assurance, weren't we, boys? They never got snagged. They never got snagged. But they were in. They were in. And they were looking shiny and modern. But they were in a building that was condemned within humanities. And essentially that meant that we had to do something about it really fast. We had 2 weeks to do something about it. We lost the ability to do large group teaching because we lost 10, I believe it was, 10 flat floor teaching rooms. Huge amount of pressure on the central teaching portfolio and our timetabling colleagues being deeply, deeply concerned. So, I say we, but the technicians, spun up AV rooms in our conference centre. They leveraged the facilities in our arts centre, which many of you hopefully enjoyed a good guided tour of yesterday. In the Roots Chancellor's room, we modernised existing rooms in humanities, and we converted a recently vacated commercial office space, which is now the psychology building, in Riley Court, and that was 2 flat floor spaces as well. I think our total spend was around £300,000 to £350,000. Now, obviously I realise if you've got cash you can do things, but this was an experience where I've never known easier routes to market, easier access to funding. And we had the group finance director essentially say to me, if anyone gives you any objections, Chris, just let them have my number and we'll have a quick chat and see how that pans out. So we executed that. 2 weeks, the guys were working evenings and weekends. Usual procurement governance was streamlined, as I say, and fast-tracked, and the facilities were deployed. Not to mention, post some of these facilities being retired, we ended up with a large amount of flexible kit that strangely got mislaid and placed into storage, which the guys assure me is being put to good use in alternative locations. So what are our learnings for RAC? Well, probably don't build with RAC. Maybe don't build with asbestos as well would be a top tip, but I don't think I'm innovating here. Trust your teams to deliver. I don't need to tell you that. I'm preaching to the converted here, but trust your teams to deliver. Work with finance and procurement closely. Never compromise on your room standards. We didn't do that during the pandemic because we figured if we do, all we're going to be doing is ripping that out and starting again. and you degrade the user experience, you degrade the consistency of the user experience, and all your support materials are rendered obsolete. And have exceptional AV partners who follow your room standards, know your ways of working, your health and safety, your processes and your governance, and work with you, not against you. So, I'm going to speed up. Our AV investments outside of RAG. Oculus Video Wall. I'm not sure if anyone's had the opportunity yet to visit our Oculus building. Very shiny. That had a brand new video wall last year. That was £100,000 spent. It's obviously a shared events capability. It's wonderful quality facility. And that wouldn't have been possible without the hard work of the team. Because with all the programming works they did, with all the green circular economy works they did, with all of the kit that they mislaid from the rack project, that saved us £100,000. And that was then able to be reused in a facility that was 10 years old and modernized that. And that has really made it very, very impactful in that space. Also during this period, we invested in column boards. I'm intrigued to see if that's still a popular facility, but many of the electric column boards were failing across campus, and we modernized those with manual ones because that's what our science and mathematics colleagues desired, and quite frankly, I'm happy to follow what our customers demand and our colleagues' demands are. I've said the reasons why. We also invested in the Piazza big screen, vast facility. I promise you there are some nice shiny photos at the end. And that was £300,000 spent. So that gives us the facility to have centralized university events, film screenings, sports, art center performances directly opposite the facility, and of course esports gaming as well. I think it's a bit of a centerpiece for the campus. We also, maybe many of you colleagues who are staying in our conference centers, Radcliffe and Scarman, have been tucking into some award-winning free-to-air TV. Well, that's also been done by us with the IPTV streaming service that we have in the conference centers. Something that many of my AV colleagues helped to support, helped to deliver. I certainly remember going around the rooms to 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a hell of a cardio exercise. We've also delivered on the self-service concept. Essentially, you can't always have facilities available to your customers that are bookable. We've got contention constantly. We've got 1,200 extra undergraduate students in our university now. Room demands, room pressures are vast. So we've built the Rapid Mute capability, and that gives recording capabilities and podcasting capabilities across campus, across our Westward, Central, and Gibbet Hill campus. We've expanded and modernized the AV loan stock. Freshen that up. That's available in our central library on the first floor. Predominantly, that's available to our staff colleagues. I'm not sure we entirely trust all of our students not to half-inch some of this kit, but you get the idea. And we've also got a vastly expanded loan laptop stock as well for staff and students. And we hope to deploy within the library a lap-safe locker self-service system. So the key lessons. AV is now part of our critical infrastructure. The more you spend, the more you need to make sure you have some governance, and that's what RAG's all about. The distributed capabilities, that's the self-service piece, that's the Rapid Mute piece, that's the loan stock, that's allowing people to use their own facilities to deliver what they need. RAG ensures that we have proper and honest conversations. We prioritize what we need to prioritize. We're not building technology debt anymore. And I'd argue the more you renew and standardize, the lower your support burden becomes. Yeah, I don't think I need to speak to some of those points because I've kind of eulogized about that quite a bit. I would say that build those relationships. Estates, space management, finance, procurement, we've all got to be partners in it for delivery. What next? Again, maybe we can do this as part of the, this is just a gentle nod to you. Thought I'd help you out there. It'd be great to understand what our HE colleagues are doing for the future going forwards in terms of the tech stacks, what your plans are, what your ambitions are within your own institutions within the AV. We're looking at enhancing assistive learning. We hope to put some better technology into the Oculus building. We're going to renew our meeting rooms if we can get some cash. Wireless screencasting needs a swift freshen up. We're going to make sure that One LAN digital signage estate is modern everywhere because it tends to get left behind. And we will do all of the other things that I've mentioned there, calling out what Professor Twine had spoken to around STEM, And also, excitingly enough, we have 2 more large buildings that will have more teaching facilities. University House will have 10 CTTRs, and Humanities will have 12. I know the guys are incredibly excited to go back into Humanities and modernise, having probably just stripped it out 2 years ago. There we go. It keeps us on our toes. So, yes, we do have the Faculty of Arts building. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being allowed to do this. And this is the video wall in Oculus. There's some very light technical details there. If anyone has any more interest about the suppliers or the technical specs or our route to market and procurement, I'm happy to engage with colleagues. But this has been an incredible product. As I say, it was under £100,000, which was under our procurement threshold, which allowed for it to be procured at pace. We also have the big screen. This was taken on the great sunny day yesterday. A beautiful facility. I always remember the crane coming in and wanging. I'll show you exactly the bit where it wanged. Just there, the old screen, absolutely wanging Roots building. But fortunately, I don't think anyone's realised that we clipped that. Well, they hadn't anyway until now. Yeah, brilliant facility, and again from the same supplier, we've become something of a technology demonstrator for them. This is the Rapid MOOC studio with a bit of customized branding. I think the podcasting in particular is taken over massively now from the Rapid MOOC itself. I think we get greater customer demand and greater engagement actually in our podcasting suite, but again, I'd probably have to defer to the chaps. So we have that facility at Westwood, one campus, Gibbet Hill as well, and Central, so our 3 main campuses. The Faculty of Arts building, that's one of our more modern facilities. That was built during the pandemic and has also just had, I do believe, £208,000 of additional investment to take it up to the standard that we consider to be appropriate for the institution. Westwood Lecture Theatre, I'm calling that out because I'm particularly proud of those column boards. I love a cheeky column board, and so do our academics. Oculus Lecture Theatre, again, that's probably our flagship. That's OC 105. That's probably our #1 flagship facility. And again, that has literally been modernised last year. Closing remarks. We made it, and I'm 42 minutes in. Yeah, so I didn't seek permission to include this photo, and the guilt will pass. But essentially, sorry, these are terrible jokes. But most importantly, have amazing, hardworking, dedicated, knowledgeable, caring, compassionate colleagues, because you don't stand a chance without them. AV is a unique team. I've worked in many, and there's something about it. Everyone seems to care. Everyone's really committed to our customers. They'll always go above and beyond. If you need to stay late, they'll stay late. If they need to work harder, they'll work harder. If they need to be fueled by Mackie D's and copious amounts of chocolates and sweets and biscuits, then their managers are always happy to facilitate. But that's me, guys. Sorry for the PowerPoint overload, but I couldn't resist. And I was told questions are banned. So I think I might hand over to our Oxford colleagues, and thank you very much for listening and for your time.